Welcome. I'm Danielle from Homeschooling with Littles, and today I would like to talk to you guys about when teaching your child to read is frustrating. So, I have 6 children. My oldest is 8 years old, and I started to teach her to read when she was just turning 4. So in the last 4 years, I have been really frustrated. I don't know if that has ever happened to you, but I want to give you guys some hope today and just talk about some of our struggles that we've had in our homeschool. Sometimes when we think about homeschool, we have this idealistic thing in our mind where we just think that every day is going to be perfect, our kids are going to behave, we're going to love reading and love working with them, and it's going to be so much fun. And sometimes that's how it is. Sometimes it goes really well, and it's so fun to work with your child and to help them get those moments of clarity in their learning, and you really have a lot of fun. But not every day is like that. There are lots of struggles that go with homeschooling as well, especially if you have a child that struggles learning, that is maybe a little bit more high energy, that has a little bit more strong-willed child. That's going to make homeschooling a little bit more frustrating some days. So I would just want to share our journey in teaching my oldest to read. She's definitely strong-willed, maybe a little ADHD, nothing diagnosed, but I thought it would be a great idea when she was really young to start teaching her to read. And so I bought this program online that said you could teach your 2-year-old to read in just 10 minutes a day. So I thought, okay, this is going to be really fun. They had this little egg carton thing that you were going to make, and they had a bunch of little candies, and they learned all their letters and their sounds, and they started reading right away. So I did this, and I set it all up, and I brought her in, and we started working on it, and she learned a couple new letters, she learned a word or two, and it was going awesome, and we had a lot of fun with it, and she wanted to work on it, so we did, and as it progressed, it got a lot more difficult for her, and some days she would remember the word, and some days she wouldn't, and even if there was the word at the beginning, she might not remember it like 3 or 4 words later. So it was frustrating for me, and I didn't know anything back then. I thought I did, because I went to school for teaching. Like, my bachelor's degree is in elementary education, but I had never taught anyone to read before. This was really my first time in teaching someone to read, because I always taught like high school and middle school math, so the whole reading thing was new to me. So this set us on a path of teaching her to read, of always questioning whether or not I was going to be able to teach her to read. So we did that for a little bit, and I have to say, like, when I look back, some of the things that were going on were totally my fault. I wasn't very consistent. I didn't do things on a regular basis. We'd do a Monday here, a Friday there. You know, we'd take a couple of weeks off and do nothing, and then we'd come back and try to do it again. And so there wasn't really any consistency. The other thing that I don't think helped was our house was a disaster, literally. We were working in the office, I don't know why, because that was probably the messiest room in the house. So there was all of this clutter and distraction and stuff everywhere, and I think that made it really hard for her to concentrate as well. So I kind of dropped that idea, and I got a different curriculum. This was a free one from online that I actually loved. I was printing off stuff and laminating pieces, and we were going through it, and she was doing really well. A lot of it was like repetition. she was learning little sight words, but again, I wasn't consistent. I would take big long breaks, and it progressed and it got harder, and we just stopped. We stopped working on it. So then she turned about 6, and it was time to actually report that I was doing some actual schoolwork with her. So we started doing Abeka. That was what my sister was using with her children, and she really liked it. So I started with that, and that was pretty good. A lot of it was stuff that she already had learned from the other 2 programs that we had worked on. So it was a lot of repetition stuff she already knew. I think that made her bored. But we did work through it for, I don't know, a month, 6 weeks. I've taken a very relaxed homeschooling approach. I've read and researched so much that I know that the best thing for kids at a young age is playing. And really the best thing is letting them play and reading books to them. And so that's the approach that I've taken on our homeschool. You know, if we don't do something every day, that's okay, because they are learning, and they are learning a ton. And I think that's the best thing. They might not be learning exactly what their peers are in public school, but who says that every 5-year-old or every 6-year-old is ready to read in September of that year, and you need to just push it until it breaks them. You know, I just don't think that that's the way to go about our education, and especially not our homeschool. So I did not use that program much longer. I did a lot of research, and I decided to start with All About Reading. And she loves animals. I thought this would be a great program for her. And it started off nice and slow. I was reporting for first grade work, and I felt that this was first grade work. And so we just worked through the program. It took a while, but she really enjoyed it. She was able to read the book, because really it was all decoding, and she was pretty good at decoding. But I felt like it was really slow going, and I didn't really see a whole lot of progression in her reading ability. So I started doing research on ADHD, learning disabilities, stuff like that, and I came across a website that talked about right-brained learners. They're your more artsy kids, your really creative types, and the more I read about that, they have they have a chart where they show you what your child is learning at different ages, if they are right-brained versus left-brained learners. And I thought it was so interesting, because I could totally see my daughter in that chart. Like very, very creative and artsy and stuff at a young age. And once they hit 6 or 7, then they started being able to really comprehend math and learn math skills that we expect most children to learn. And then by age 8 or 9, then the reading comes in, and they're able to, they have that brain capacity to learn to read. And I definitely saw that in my daughter. Once she turned 8, which was in the summer, and we had started working a little bit on some second grade reading stuff, once she turned 8, it was like a switch flipped. Like, you could just see the difference. She was definitely more interested in reading. And as as she gets older and older and closer to the age of 9, I'm seeing a lot more comprehension, a lot more just ability to read, ability to take it in, to learn it all, and to get those words from the paper out to the spoken word. And so I have been so encouraged by just reading a little bit about right brain learners. And my daughter went from sounding out 3-letter words for, oh my goodness, like 4 years to reading at a decent pace now. Like, she still sounds out a lot of words, but the words are getting so much harder. And she's just picking it up, almost like I don't have to tell her all the rules. She just knows it. She's just picking it up because her brain is now able to comprehend that, because she's ready. And I think that's the biggest thing about homeschooling. Like, our kids will learn it when they're ready, and if we can take that relaxed homeschooling stance and just work with them where they're at, and not stress about and compare them with maybe their public school peers, I just think homeschooling can be such a blessing to our family and to our children, to give them the confidence that they can learn anything. So I hope if you have a struggling learner, I would love if you would research a little bit of the right brain learner stuff and see if your homeschooler fits that, see if they fit those right brain learner qualities. So I will put a link in the description of where I first learned about the right brain learner. And also, if you have any comments, I'd love to know if you have a right brain learner, if reading has been a struggle for you or your learners. And I will be back on here tomorrow. I am doing a video every day. I just want to share all this stuff that I've learned about homeschooling and let you know that you are able to homeschool too. I think anyone can do it. If you can potty train your child, you can homeschool your child. I'm sure of it. All right, so I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope this gave you some motivation for homeschooling. And I'd love to hear below in the comments what you think.